Okay, so this is the April 29th reading of the Bible in a year. This is my review of it, and this is NLT that I've been reading from. Not that it matters so much, but normally I read New King James, but this happens to be the NLT. So we've got 2 Samuel. I've read 2 Samuel chapter 17 from verse 15. We finished out 17, I believe. We've got Psalm 3, Psalm 63, 2 Samuel 18, and we read into 19 all the way to verse 30. And so tomorrow the next reading is for, it starts off in 1931. So what do we have here? We have, in this section is where David is escaping from Absalom. Absalom's coming to attack David, and he said it's better for me to leave and allow the kingdom to thrive than wait for Absalom. And he left some of his advisors there, loyal advisors that they knew, and he put plans into place to have people explain to him what was going on, share with them. They had a meeting place all set up. So that was all in play, and his advisor basically bought David a little bit of time, but that was it. His advisor went against his Absalom's advisor, and Absalom said, "Oh, that's some really good advice," and so they waited for a minute. So that bought David time. That's how that worked. That was in yesterday's reading, but with that we see where that advisor that didn't get his advice taken, that ate at him. He created a permanent solution for the temporary problem of not being heard. He took his own life. He got his affairs set in order and said, "Oh, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. I don't deserve to live." Again, I say that is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and I don't mean that in any way, shape, or form to sound anybody that's dealing with that. It's a serious thing, and a lot of times there's a demonic force involved with that. That's nothing to be trifled with. It's nothing to be made fun of. It's nothing to take lightly. It's something many people suffer from and consider that decision, because the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and he knows what eats at us and what will get us to make that decision to take our own life. And anyway, so that's what happened with him, with Ahithophel, and then we get the Psalms of David. But anyway, David gets away, and he's warmly greeted by other people. Then we get the Psalm 3, which just the way David brings about the Psalms. Again, David is called a man after God's own heart, and what he does in almost all his songs is he explains his troubles. Right? He says, I've got all these enemies, and they're all against me. And right now, it's his son, his own son, is his enemy. But this is what he does with that. He immediately cries out to God. He knows where his deliverance comes from. That's from God. That's where we have to understand that and know where our deliverance comes from. It comes from God. God will deliver us. That's his promise. We just need to cry out to him, and he answers. He answers David in Psalm 3, and he continues to ask. David continues to ask for rescue, and he just lays praise to God. And then in 63, "O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you." And then he ends it by, "All who swear to tell the truth will praise him, while liars will be silenced." Again, beautiful. And then they're running away. There's an escape, and Absalom, he let's see, where'd it go? Oh, and they talk David into holding back and not going with the troops. that he would be safer. He was worth 10,000 men. They didn't want him to go there. They wanted to protect him. So David did agree to stay back, but his command as he left was, be gentle to my son Absalom. He's my son. And then Joab heard that, and so many other people did too, and they find Absalom caught up by his hair. And his hair was one thing that was talked about being magnificent, that he was a handsome person, the most handsome, and his hair was wonderful. And he only got it cut once a year, and there was, I think, 20 pounds of hair they cut off his head. But his hair, but that's what did him in. He got his hair caught in a tree. Got hung up, and his donkey left him, and there he was hanging by his hair out of a tree. And Joab says, you just found him like this? Why didn't you kill him? Go kill him. He's the enemy. And he's like, no, I can't do that. David said not to do that. No. Joab went, nah, this is what we're doing. He stabbed him 3 times, and the guy lived, and then all his armor bearers killed him. And they took him and threw him in a pit. Said, this is the enemy. We want David to be our king. This guy came and threatened that, and we need to eliminate that threat. Joab was the commander of the army there. Joab often didn't do exactly what David wanted, but he did what David needed, and a lot of times. So then David mourns over Absalom's death, and as they're coming back, the troops are ready to celebrate, and then they find out David's in mourning. He's crying. He won't get crying over losing his son. And Joab says, David, snap out of it. Said, you'd rather we died. You're acting like you'd rather we died. We saved your life. We want you as our king. If you don't get out here and start celebrating with these people and congratulating them and thanking them for what they've done and their sacrifice, there's not one of them that's going to be here. You got to take care of your thing. You got to do your thing here. You are a good king. Come on, let's make this happen. And so he does. Joab comes out and he takes care of it, and then he goes back to Jerusalem. He starts being kingly again, and he rebukes the people for waiting so long to bring him back. And yeah, I'll be willing to be king, but come on, get after it. So he does. He returns to Jerusalem. He shows mercy to Shimei, and I had to look up who in the world was Shimei here. Shimei was the one that was Saul's relative, that as David was leaving Jerusalem, Shimei was tossing rocks at David and cursing him and saying how awful he was and how he stole the kingdom from his relative Saul, and Saul's going to get his kingdom back and all this. And David's like, they wanted to kill the guy. And David's like, no, just leave him go. Leave him go. He's not hurting us. Maybe God's told him to do this. It's fine. Let him go. Let him curse. But Shimei is the first one to greet David as he comes back, and he repents of his sin, and David accepts that. These other people wanted to kill him. Said, kill this guy. He's not worthy of this. He shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. And David's like, no, he's willing to be in the kingdom. Look, he can come into the kingdom. It's okay. Sound familiar? Remember that we can come into the kingdom no matter what we've done. And then we get Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth also comes out to greet him, said, why didn't you come with me? And actually, he hadn't trimmed his beard or washed his clothes since David had left. But Ziba had said that Mephibosheth was saying, hey, my kingdom's going to be restored from my ancestor Saul. My grandpa Saul is going to get his kingdom back. I'm here. That's what Ziba said to David, that Mephibosheth had said. And Mephibosheth said, no, I didn't say that. Shame on Ziba. And so one of them did lie. So one of them said lie. And David just said, you've said enough. I've decided that you and Ziba will divide your land equally between you. He says, Mephibosheth says, give it all to him. I am content just to have you safely back again, my lord and king. So that's where that was. So some key points here that I thought of through this is that forgiveness that David showed. God said David was a man after his own heart. He said that, and it was David's forgiveness that I think he was referring to. His willingness to forgive his son for trying to kill him. His willingness to forgive Saul early on. His willingness to forgive Shimei. His willingness to forgive Ziba and Mephibosheth, no matter which one was lying about it. His willingness to step back into the kingdom as he was put there and I think this is a foreshadowing of Jesus. His kingdom only left him for 3 days. And on the third day he rose again and took it back. So that's the shadow that it shows. But that's where David's a man after God's own heart, because of that forgiveness. God forgives and he accepts regardless of what we do in him.